Good afternoon and welcome to today's Beyond the Shelf story and activity time. My name is Mary Ann Wright and I'm a 4-H area educator for Lincoln University Cooperative Extension. Today's book is Money Madness. I chose this book today because April is Financial Literacy Month. And what that means is April is the month that we set aside to learn all about money and how to save money and how to be smart with our money. So, what better way to celebrate Financial Literacy Month than to read a book that's all about money? So let's go ahead and get started. This is Money Madness, written by David Adler and illustrated by Edward Miller. What's all this money madness? People talk about money and work for it. They seem to always want more of it. Take a look at a dollar bill. There's a nice portrait of George Washington on it. But it's just paper. Why do people want money? People want money because they can be used to buy things. Now, imagine a world without money. If you were hungry and there was no such thing as money, how would you buy a loaf of bread? You would have to bake your own. Without money, how would you get to the ingredients for your bread? If no one would give or sell you flour, you would have to grow wheat, harvest it, grind it, and sift it before you would have flour for your bread. If there was no such thing as money and you needed new clothes, you would have to make them. Imagine if you had to knit your own sweater. Imagine if you had to raise a sheep and shear it, spin the wool to make your yarn, and then knit the sweater yourself. There was a time before money. Long ago, people couldn't buy things. When they were hungry, they gathered berries and killed animals. When they were cold, they gathered wood for their fires. Before there was money, people gathered and hunted for what they needed. They were self-sufficient. Some people liked to hunt. They were good at it. Others were good at making clubs or clothing. Soon people traded one thing for another. A hunter traded with a food gatherer. A club maker traded with a clothing maker. A system of trading one thing for another is called bartering. Maybe you barter. Have you ever traded one toy for another? At lunch, have you ever traded an apple for an orange? That's bartering. However, there are times when bartering doesn't work. A hunter could trade an animal for berries, but how many berries? And what if the hunter didn't want berries? How would a baker trade for a house? How many loaves of bread would that take? And why would anybody want so much bread? Long before a person could eat all that bread, most of it would go stale. A hunter who didn't want berries might be willing to trade for them anyway if he knew he could trade the berries for something he did want. A homeowner might be willing to trade her house for bread if she knew she could trade the bread for something she did want. In those trades, the berry and bread would be a kind of money. At one time, cows, sheep, camel, rocks, feathers, salt, dried fish, fish hooks, animal skins, and strings of beads made from clamshells were all used as money. People valued cows, sheep, and camels, and they could always trade one of those animals for something they wanted. But what if something was worth just half a cow? You wouldn't want to cut the cow in half to buy something. And what if the sheep or camel you wanted to trade was sickly? You might have trouble trading it. When animals were used as money, your money needed to be fed. Your money could die or it could run away. Rocks were another early form of money. Rocks come in different sizes, but they're heavy to carry around. Feathers were used as money too. Feathers are light, but they can blow away. What was needed was something that wouldn't get sick, didn't have to be fed, wasn't too heavy or light, came in different weights or sizes, and most people wanted. Hundreds of years ago, people found that metals made good money. People valued bronze and copper, which could be cut into small pieces just right for carrying around. To know how much each piece was worth, people had to weigh it. The heavier the piece of metal, the more it was worth. These pieces became the first coins. Then coins were made from silver and gold. People wanted silver and gold, so they were happy to trade for silver and gold coins. But carrying many coins is difficult, so paper money was invented. The first paper money was like a printed promise, a promise that money could be taken to the bank and traded for silver and gold coins. In the United States, people no longer use silver and gold coins as money, but paper money still has value, because you can still use it to buy things. You can use paper money to buy bread, furniture, and clothing. You can use it to buy a horse. You can even use money to buy silver and gold. Each country has its own money. In the United States, people use dollars. In Mexico, people use pesos. In Israel, new shekels. In Russia, rubles. In China, yuan. In Canada, dollars. In South Africa, rand. People in many of these countries in Europe use euros. The value of money in each country keeps changing. One US dollar may be worth 10 Mexican pesos one day and a little less or a little more the next. Your dollar may be worth 7 Chinese yuan one day and slightly more or less the next day. The value of each country's money goes up when prices go down in the country. When that happens, the dollar buys more. The value of each country's money goes up and down when the prices in that country go up and down. When prices go up, the same dollar buys less. When prices go down, the value of a dollar goes up. For example, when a scoop of ice cream cost $1, each dollar buys 1 scoop. If the price goes down and a scoop of ice cream now only costs 50 cents, a dollar buys double what it bought before. Now a dollar buys 2 scoops of ice cream. The value of the dollar in relation to the ice cream went up. As prices in a country go down, not just for ice cream, but for many, even most things, the value of its currency goes up. Checks and credit cards are money too, because they can be used to buy things. Some people even use digital money. With digital money, there is a computer record of the money in an account. When you spend that money to buy a book or download music, the amount you spend is subtracted from your account. Even though you cannot see digital money, it's still money because it can be used to buy things. We no longer live in a world with just hunters and food gatherers. We live in a world with dancers, teachers, doctors, astronauts, dentists, and bakers. Without money, it's hard to imagine what a dancer would trade to buy a car. Without money, it's hard to imagine what a teacher would trade to buy a sweater. It's hard to imagine a world without money. Now reach into your pockets. Do you have any coins? Do you have any paper money? If you do, you're probably pleased. You know with money you can buy things you want. With money you can buy things you need. So there we go. That's the book Money Madness. So in this book, we learned all about ways that we use money. We learned a little bit about the history of money. And so now for our activity, we are going to make a container to keep all of our money. We're going to make a piggy bank. So all you need for this activity is an empty bottle. So it can be a soda bottle or water bottle, whatever you have. We need some scissors, some paper, and I'm going to use pink paper because I want my pig to be pink, but it can be any color. If you have craft foam, I'm going to be using some craft foam. If you don't have this, you can also just use some regular paper. We need a box cutter or an X-Acto knife and a permanent marker. Again, I'm using pink. And then we need some googly eyes. So if you don't have googly eyes, that's okay. You can just draw them on with a marker or you can make them out of paper. Okay, so let's get started. The first thing we want to do is take our bottle, and you want to make sure that it's clean, it's rinsed out, and it's dry before you start this. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take off the top of my bottle, and I want to cut off this ring. Now you don't have to do this part, but I think it looks better in the end. So very carefully, you might want to get your parents to do this part. I'm going to cut off the edge of this ring. So again, be very careful when you're using your X-Acto or your box cutter there. So I have it taken off there. Now, I want to shorten my bottle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off the end of my bottle and make a cut here so that way I can shorten it. So go around your bottle and carefully make your cut. You want to try to be as straight as possible when you do this so it meets up when you go around your bottle there. And again, this might be a step you want to ask for help to do. When we're cutting, we also want to be sure that we are cutting on a surface that if we accidentally slip, our blade is not going to go into the table. So put down a mat or something like that. But right now I have the top of my bottle and the bottom of my bottle. So those are separated now. So now I want to shorten this top part. So again, I'm going to go around my bottle. Shorten it just to the size I want. If you have some rough edges after you cut with your blade, you can always take a pair of scissors and help fix that. So I'll show you here. So I have one edge that's a little off there, so I'm just going to take my scissors and I'll cut it so it's a straight line across my bottle. Now with this middle part, you don't need that anymore, so you can set that to the side. Now we have our top and our bottom, and see how this fits together. That's what we're wanting here. So set your bottom to the side now, and now we're just going to work with the top. So I want to decorate this top. I'm going to use some pink paper. So I've cut it in a strip that's about 2.5 inches long, and I'm going to glue it to my bottle. So I have some hot glue here, but you can use regular craft glue. I'm using hot glue to save a little bit of time when I'm gluing this together. So I'm going to put a little bit of glue right here on my bottle. Then I'm going to stick my paper right to it, wrap it around, and then I'm going to secure it again with glue right on this other side. So this is going to be the body of my piggy bank. So you can use plain pink paper, and again, you could use a different color paper, especially if you want to make it something other than a pig. So that's what you do first. Now I want to make some ears. So that's what I'm going to use my foam for. Now again, you can use paper if you don't have foam, but I cut a strip that's about 1 inch and I folded it in half because I want to make sure that my ears are the same. So I'm going to cut through both pieces of foam in the shape of an ear. So it's going to go up to a point and then round off. So I have 2 ear shapes, just like that. Now when I'm putting my ears on my bottle, you can just glue that if you want, but I like to make a slit in my bottle to put my ears. So what I do is I take my blade again and very carefully we're going to puncture the bottle, and then in a curve that's as wide as the base of my ear, I have made a little crescent shape. So can you see that there? And that way I can take my ear and I can slip it into this hole that I made in my bottle. And then I can just pop my ear up so it's secured without having to use tape, and it even kind of makes it so it's molded around so it actually looks like a little ear there. So I'm going to do that on both sides. And again, be very careful with your blade. When you're cutting on a rounded object, it's even harder. So you want to make sure you don't slip. So have an adult cut that for you. And again, I'm going to take my foam ear and I'm going to place it right in that. So you can start seeing it already looks a little bit like a pig. So I'm going to do the next step here, and then I'm going to put this piece to the side. So we need a slot for our money. Now, the biggest coin that I'm probably going to put in mine is a quarter. So I want to make sure that it's about 1.5 inches, so I can make sure that quarter goes in my hole very easily. So I'm going to take my marker and I'm going to mark exactly where I want that hole to be. So just like that. And then, again, being very careful, we're going to take this blade and we're going to cut a hole in that. Now this might take a little bit of time because you want to be sure that you're not going to cut yourself or anything like that. So just take your time doing this. Once you get your 2 main lines, you can actually use scissors to finish out and cut out the 2 smaller ends of your coin slot. So just like that. See, I have a slot for my coins right here. Okay, now I'm going to set this to the side, and I'm going to go back and use my foam because I have the bottle lid that I want to make the snout. So to do that, I'm going to cover it in foam. Now, if you don't have foam, you could use paper, or you could even use paint. If you happen to have some paint at your house, use some paint and cover that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit of glue on my lid, and then I have a strip of pink foam that I'm just going to wrap around my bottle. I'm going to put a little glue on the other side so it keeps it in place, and finish off with one more spot of glue there. So now my lid is wrapped and I want the top. So I've cut out a circle from my foam and I'm going to add that right to the top of my lid. So add a little bit of glue and then I'm going to put my foam right on there. So this is going to be the snout for my piggy bank. So I'm going to take it, I'm going to put it on my bank there, make sure it fits, and I'm going to take my permanent marker, whatever color you have will work, and I'm going to add 2 dots at the end of the snout so it looks like a pig's nose there. Okay, it's only a few more steps. Next we want to add the tail to our pig. So again, I've just cut a little bit of foam or paper and we're going to curl this. So an easy way to do this is to take a pen or a pencil and wrap that piece around and then hold it with your hand just like this for about 10 seconds. And the heat from your hand is going to help curl that, and it's going to look like a little curly cute tail to add to the bottom of our piggy bank. So do that, and you see it start to curl a little bit. The longer you hold that, the better it will curl. So I'm going to take the bottom of my bottle and I'm going to add a little bit of glue right at the ends and add my tail. Now if your tail comes unraveled a little bit, you can always just twist it again whenever it's looking a little straight, and then it will curl back. Okay, so now I'm going to place the end of my bottle. Now we wanted this to be a little shorter, but the other purpose of having this come off is when we put our money in, we want a way to get it out. So that's what that back end coming off really does. Okay, so now the only things left are some eyes and some feet, so he's not rolling around. So I'm going to go ahead and add the eyes. If you have googly eyes, I think those are really cool to add, but if you don't, again, you can use a marker and just draw on your eyes. But I have a couple here, so I'm going to use up some big googly eyes for my pig there. Okay, and now for my legs, I'm going to take some foam or paper, or if you find other objects in your house, you can use those as well. But I'm going to cut strips that I can roll up. I'm just going to secure it at the very end with some glue. So rolls, put a little bit of glue on the ends. So then you have just a little tube almost that's going to act as a foot. So if you're using regular paper, you might want to do a few strips together so you get the dimension you want. But when you have this, then you're just going to glue it on the bottom of your piggy bank. Now when you glue on your front legs, you want to go all ahead and come all the way up here to in front of your paper line, because if not, your bank is going to be snout heavy and it's not going to want to stand up very well. So go ahead and add those feet closer to the top of your bottle so it will stand and be really secure there. And then after you do that to all 4 of your feet, you're going to have a piggy bank just like this that you can save your money. So I've already added a little bit of money in mine, as you can see, but it's fun. I like that it's a little bit clear so I can see how much money's in there. But if you don't like that look, you can play around with painting your whole bottle pink and experiment. Again, try different animals for your bank. But it's a good way to start saving money while you're at home. If you find some, maybe between the cushions of the couch, or if you're out for a walk and you see some on the sidewalk, pick it up and add it to your piggy bank and start saving. It's never too young. You're never too young to be financially smart, and that's really what Financial Literacy Month is all about, is learning ways to make saving easier and be better prepared when you actually need to buy something. So I hope you enjoyed today's activity. Tomorrow we'll have an online programming video, so I hope you join me for that.